that I want to get out here. It's about this Rebecca Park case.
Hi, I'm Will Coleman, Five Star International.
Let me make sure everything's good on my end. Make sure everything is good on my end. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Okay, everything's good on my end. I want to talk to y'all about this Rebecca Park case. Let's get into it.
Night Rider.
I recently covered the case
And again, shout out to Grizzly True Crime. Let's get into it.
of Rebecca Park, and I'm going to do a quick recap of what we learned so far because today we're going to go over the probable cause affidavits, which is very detailed and actually irons out a few creases, answers a few questions that we all had in part one of look at this case. They brought Rebecca Park to their home. They forced her into a vehicle and took her into the woods where they stabbed her, forced her to lie on the ground while they cut her baby out of her, ultimately causing her death and the death of the baby. This is as heinous and as awful the case as it could be. And I don't believe there are any circumstances in which Mr. Bartholomew should be dead and found. So if you missed part one, I'm going to link it for you in case you want to check it out because I'm kind of just going to fly through this so that we're at least all on the same page because there's many characters involved in this case. Like 4 of Rebecca Park's family members were arrested, 2 are out on bail, 2 will probably never get out in their lives. So, oh my goodness. Please know that this case comes with a trigger warning. It involves the murder
Yeah,
of a
trigger
22-year-old
warning, trigger
pregnant
warning.
woman, as well as fetal abduction, and the baby is presumed dead. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. My name is Gisela Kate. This is Grizzly True Crime, and let's do a quick recap. Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Is presumed dead, and after the PCA we're going to read, you're going to understand why. Because I really wondered why. 4 family members have been arrested. So Rebecca Park, 22, from Boone Township, Michigan, was a pregnant mother of 2 young children, ages 1 and 3. She was engaged to Richard Fowler. I've been calling him Richard Failure, and it still fits because, my goodness, this guy not only impregnated Rebecca, but he's also the ex of her mother. And guess what? The probable cause affidavit says he was also sexually active with her sister. Do I have permission to continue to call him Richard Failure? That's not snark at his last name. If anyone else says that last name, I'm not snarking at you. I'm snarking at him. I'm looking directly at this guy. Anyway, so she was engaged to Richard Failure, 43 and 38 weeks pregnant with his child when she went missing on November 3rd of 2025. She lived with him in a mobile home owned by Richard's father, apparently on his property, working part-time as a cashier. They got engaged in 2024 and announced the pregnancy in the spring of 2025. And again, they are saying no to her mother to date him and her sister. Wow. Rebecca was due to have a 3rd baby boy on November 18th of 2025, and she picked out a name for the baby, and she was so excited. Richard Scott Lee. So that was going to be the baby's name. Rebecca's adopted mother is Stephanie Park, who fostered and later adopted Rebecca, along with her siblings, younger sister Kimberly Park, and an older brother, after they were removed from their biological mother's care by
Well,
CPS around
Cray Cray.
2004, when Rebecca was approximately.
Yeah, I won't tell you ahead of time. What I'm getting ready to talk about on this one, it's gonna be a little bit crazy. So letting you know, this is gonna be crazy, and trigger warning, trigger warning.
1-year-old. She became involved through the foster system due to concerns over the children's safety in the home of biological mother Courtney Bartholomew, an absolute monster. based on what we know so far and what we're going to learn today. Stephanie has taken custody of Rebecca's 2 surviving sons, ages 2 and 3.5, and is also
What up,
caring
y'all?
for Kimberly Park's nearly 1-year-old daughter. Now, I don't know if the dad of that baby is Richard Feller or not, but my goodness, that guy, he slept with the whole family. What? So in interviews with the news, Stephanie highlighted her efforts to protect Rebecca and her biological family, from her biological family, describing Courtney as dangerous and recounting years of shielding her daughter. She attended vigils and fundraisers and has urged privacy for the grieving children, while appreciating community support via a GoFundMe, which I've linked in the description box for you. Her biological mother, Courtney Bartholomew, 40, and stepfather, Bradley Bartholomew, 47, were chronic methamphetamine users living nearby in Boone Township. Rebecca's half-sister, and that I'm still yet to clarify. I would love to know this. Please tell me if you know. Put in the comments if you can, or email me, grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com. Did Kimberly live with Courtney and Bradley? Because I'm still trying to figure that one out. That's what I found before, but I doubt it. I'm just doubting it a little bit, and I'm like, did Kimberly live? Why? Why I say it's because also the adoptive mom, Stephanie, looked after Rebecca and Kimberly. So at what point did Kimberly end up then with Courtney and Bradley? These freaking monsters. Okay, so Rebecca's fiance is accused of distributing methamphetamine, and he used to date Courtney, Rebecca's biological mother. So here we have a picture of the bio mom, the fiance, and the victim, Rebecca Park. And oh man, what they did to her it's absolutely unthinkable. So there's the 4 of them, and when I read the PCA, I will have this picture up still so that you can just refer to it, because you might need to. Bio mom Courtney, stepdad Bradley, fiance Richard Feller, 43, used to date Courtney, half sister or bio sister, half sister Kimberly, and then victim Rebecca Park. So I still have questions, and if you have the answers, if you know, please email me and link your source or tell me what your source is. And if you are a family member or friend or, someone who knows things that wants to reach out, then of course, I keep all my sources anonymous. I just want to know some things that I don't yet know based on everything we know so far. Now, Rebecca found and connected with her bio mom in 2021. Richard started dating Rebecca in approximately 2023, and he said that they were inseparable. Weeks before Rebecca's abduction, Courtney would text and call multiple times a day. She had a plan. Her and her man were looking up how to perform a C-section, like themselves. Well, on the day that Rebecca was last seen, her mother
Pay attention
lured
to
her
that part.
to her home under false pretenses, saying let's go for a milkshake. We need to talk about the baby. Let's plan a baby shower. And also she lured her there saying that she had $2,000 to give Rebecca from an inheritance from some extended family member that died. Well, that never happened. The envelope was empty, and Courtney admits it. So Courtney, the bio mom, allegedly suffered multiple miscarriages and wanted another baby of her own, was obsessed with having another baby at all cost. Okay, so you're going to steal your daughter's baby? And that didn't work out at all. The baby's presumed dead, Rebecca's dead, what? So on November 3rd of 2025, we're going to go over this rather in the probable cause affidavit, right? I actually just want to get to the arrests quickly here, because there's going to be much more details now in the PCA. So if we go here to November 25th, Rebecca's body was found. She had suffered multiple stab wounds. There were signs of torture, defensive injuries, restraints, and the absence of the fetus was noted, indicating a violent extraction. Courtney blamed Kimberly for being involved in Rebecca's disappearance. What the heck? So now let's look at the arrest quickly, then we're moving on to the PCA. On November 26th of 2025, Kimberly Park, 21, that's her sister, was arrested and charged with tampering with evidence, lying to the police, and a false report of a felony. She had allegedly filed a false report saying that Rebecca was safe with friends or left voluntarily. Her bond was $750,000, but then lowered to $5,000. And she was subsequently released on bond on December 3rd of 2025. On Facebook, she said, "My sissy was found. I'm breaking so bad. I'm sorry, sis. I'm sorry that I failed you. I love you, sis." People were saying a lot of things in her comment section. Not kind things. Richard Feller was arrested on November 25th for distributing methamphetamine and was was held on a $1 million bond. He was arraigned on November 26th on delivery or manufacture of a controlled substance and habitual offender. Fourth offense.
Yeah, he looked like a meth
he
head.
is, I don't know, wait, got a sensor for YouTube. He has committed alleged sexual offenses against minors and unconscious victims. Wow.
Ew.
Okay. So
Sick
his bond
bastard.
also lowered, and he's also being released on bond. And then of course we've got Courtney and Bradley, who were arrested and arraigned on December 2nd of 2025. They were both charged with first-degree murder, felony murder, torture in a place of confinement, conspiracy to commit torture, assault of a pregnant woman with the intention to cause miscarriage or stillbirth, conspiracy to commit that assault, unlawful imprisonment, and moving a dead body in Wexford County. Those are some big charges. Okay, so the preliminary evidence, we'll just leave it at that. You can go check out part 1 if you want to go over each and every slide that I just raced through here at a slower speed, and just to see what we knew then and compare it to what we know now, because now we're going to go into the probable cause affidavits. Justice for Rebecca and her baby. I mean, man, she was terribly betrayed. I quickly want to find that image where we have the 4 people, right, this one, on the screen, so that I could just put it, how about I put it here for you, just to reference here and there. And now let's start off with a shorter probable cause affidavit, which is the one for the sister, Kimberly Sue Park, right, the 21-year-old. Now, thank you so much to Grizzly Cat for obtaining these documents for us so that I can read them, and I love getting all the facts, especially I love all these documents. If you do too, please remember to like and share so others can also find this factual information. Okay, so, and if you want to buy Grizzly Cat a coffee, her link is in the description box below. Are you ready? This is the shorter one, we're warming up. Okay. Affidavit of probable cause. Affiant, a duly sworn police officer with the Wexford County Sheriff's Office, attests to the following facts based on personal investigation or is swearing to the facts as presented by a fellow sworn deputy sheriff to establish probable cause the crime of lying to police, obstructing an investigation, and making a false report of a felony was committed by the defendant, and affiant is respectfully seeking a warrant for the defendant's arrest. On Tuesday, November 4th, at redacted, Kimberly Sue Park, date of birth redacted, reported her 22-year-old sister, Rebecca K. Park, had not been seen since the prior evening. Kimberly identified that Rebecca was last known to be with Courtney Bartholomew at 21.5 Road, which is in Boone Township of Wexford County. Courtney Bartholomew is the biological mother to Rebecca and Kimberly Park. At the time of the report, Rebecca Park was 38 weeks pregnant and living with her boyfriend, Richard Lee Feller. Boyfriend of the whole family. Damn. Kimberly Park provided the sheriff's office with a cellular telephone that was identified as the one that Rebecca had been using at the time of her disappearance. Kimberly Park was communicating information to Detective Lieutenant Chris Piscor throughout the investigation. On Saturday, November 22nd of 2025, Kimberly Park made statements on a social media live broadcast that she was aware of information that Courtney Bartholomew and her husband, Brad Bartholomew, had something to do with Rebecca Park's disappearance. Detective Lieutenant Piscor interviewed Kimberly Park on the same date, and she reported that Courtney and Brad had struck Rebecca Park in the head to cause her to have a seizure, and when they were unable to revive Park from the seizure, Brad contacted a friend who came and picked up Rebecca Park's body and took it away. Yeah, that's all a lie. Park, apparently, according to the other probable cause affidavit, Park said, and the evidence, Park said that Brad had said something about a swamp. During another interview, Kimberly Park, on Monday, November 24th of 2025, Park told Detective Sergeant Alicia Baxter that she was and has been in a relationship with Richard Feller, her sister's fiance, her mother's ex. Kimberly Park identified that her relationship with Feller was complicated by his relationship with her sister Rebecca. Okay. On Tuesday, November 25th of 2025, a body of a deceased woman was found off the Federal Forest Service Road 9784. which is in a straight line approximately 2.5 miles west of the Bartholomew residence. So that now clears that up, because I wasn't too sure. When we did map time the first time, I wasn't too sure, and some of the media sources at the time had said that they traveled like 20 miles and all that. No. Her body was found 2.5 miles from her mother's residence. Sorry, also my voice is a little husky. I'm busy covering the Brian Walsh trial daily, and I'm recording this after a full trial day, so I'm sorry about that. Okay, I think my voice, I think I've used it a lot today. Okay, but I do want to get this information out to you, okay? So, a tattoo above the left eye of the deceased person was consistent with a tattoo above the same eye of Rebecca Park. Park had sharp force trauma wounds to her neck, and her abdomen had been cut open. Detective Sergeant Jamie Boss and Detective Sergeant Olivia Whetstone met with Kimberly Park at a residence in Herrick Township on November 25th of 2025 for a non-custodial interview. See, that address is a little different, I think, to where then Courtney lives. So maybe Kimberly didn't live with Courtney. Where did she live then? Okay, and why was she... I don't know how this guy got to the whole family. I don't know. Unless if any of them had used some of the substances he was selling. Is that how he connected with all these women? Like, I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, so it says that for a non-custodial interview based on the discovery of the body. During this interview, Kimberly Park discussed the relationship with Richard Feller. Park made a statement that Feller had told her that Rebecca had been taken care of and not to worry about it. Park went on to say that Feller had told her to lie to Detective Lieutenant Piscor and say that Courtney and Brad Bartholomew hit Rebecca over the head and knocked her out, and they drove her and dumped her body. Kimberly Park was arrested for lying to police and obstructing the investigation at approximately 1911 by Detective Sergeant Boss. Park told Detective Sergeant Boss that she wanted to talk to Detective Lieutenant Piscor. Detective Lieutenant Piscor began a recorded interview with Kimberly Park on Tuesday, November 25th of 2025 at 20:26 or 8:26 p.m. Park was provided with a Miranda warning, which she waived prior to the commencement of the interview. Kimberly Park identified that on Tuesday, November 2025, while she was at Richard Feller's home, he told her that he killed Rebecca Park and that he wanted to protect Kimberly by not sharing details with her. Park identified that during a different conversation with Feller that he had told her that something went wrong while trying to cut the baby out of Rebecca. She reported that Feller had told her that Redacted had helped him with Rebecca. I think that's the younger, there's like a 14-year-old boy that lives in Courtney and Bradley's home as well. Courtney's son, I believe it is. Park said that Feller had also been encouraging her to mislead the investigation, and it was the reason that she was sharing misleading information on social media live broadcasts. Park told Detective Lieutenant Piscor that Feller was becoming concerned about the investigation getting close to him, and that on the Thursday or Friday before Saturday, November 22nd of 2025, Feller assisted her with the creation of her accusation that she made to Detective Lieutenant Piscor during the interview on that date. There appeared to be an additional unsubstantiated knowledge that Park had about Rebecca. This included a statement about Rebecca possibly having been stored in an unknown location. Detective Sergeant Dan Hackman arrested Richard Feller for open murder of Rebecca Park based on the statements made by Kimberly Park. Detective Sergeant Boss and Detective Sergeant Whetstone attempted to conduct an interview with Richard Feller at the Sheriff's Office on Wednesday, November 26th, and he refused to cooperate with the assistance of an attorney. Detective Lieutenant Piscor interviewed Redacted Noland on Wednesday, November 26th of 2025. He denied any involvement and was able to show cellular telephone records that did not place him in the Wexford County area on November 3rd or 4th of 2025. Nolan cooperated with a consent search of his cellular device and later a consent search of his black and colored Chevrolet Malibu. Nolan did confirm that he had previously been in romantic relationships with both Rebecca and Kimberly Park. So that's another guy that had been in a relationship with the two sisters.
Whoa, wait a minute. So you have two men around this thing around this weird ass dynamic. You have two men around this weird ass dynamic that knocked down two sisters. Let's keep going.
Wednesday, November 26th of 2025, Detective Lieutenant Piscor and Detective Sergeant Hackman began a follow-up interview with Kimberly Park and were more confrontational with her based on the outcome of the interview with Noland. Park requested the assistance of an attorney, at which point the interview was terminated. Now see this, I don't think any of us had heard that Richard Feller had been charged with open murder initially. I mean, the only charges we then saw later, which stuck, seems to be the substance-related ones, right? So, okay, so that is actually the shorter affidavit, and now we get to the longer one, which is 18 pages. Wish my voice luck. Are you ready to start this one with me? It's for Bradley Allen Bartholomew and Courtney Bartholomew, the affidavit of probable cause. And buckle up, because it really is a wild ride. Affiant, a duly sworn police officer, and all of this, right, that they're going to, this qualifies them for writing the PCA. So let's just get to the timeline, shall we? On November 4th of 2025, at Wexford County Central Dispatch, they received a call from Kimberly Sue Park, that's the sister, right? Reporting that her sister, Rebecca K. Park, had not been seen since November 3rd of 2025 at approximately 23:30, 11:30 p.m. at South 21.5 Road in Boone Township of Wexford County. Deputy Reed began Wexford County Sheriff's Office incident report number as a missing person investigation. At the time of the report, Rebecca Park was 38 weeks pregnant and living with her boyfriend, Richard Lee Feller, at 41.5 Creek Road in Cedar Creek Township. Deputy Reed spoke with Courtney Marie Bartholomew, who is Rebecca Park's biological mother and lives at that 21.5 Road. Courtney reported that she was with Rebecca Park the prior night until approximately 8:30 p.m. when an unidentified friend picked Rebecca up from Courtney's residence. They make up these like, and then there was a very dark car, some shady car. You know what the dodgy car was? Bradley's white truck. But they were like, yes, it was a dark vehicle that I saw.
Really?
Pick Rebecca up. Liars. Courtney had, see this now, we didn't know this either. Courtney had picked Rebecca up from that north 41.5 road. So Richard Feller had not dropped Rebecca off at Courtney's house. Courtney had in fact picked her up under the false pretense of, we're going for milkshakes and we're going to plan a baby shower and I've got money for you. Remember? Okay, so to spend some time together and get ice cream from Culver's. On the way to Culver's, Rebecca told Courtney that she needed Tide Pods. So Courtney returned to her address at South 21.5 Road to get some Tide Pods for her. Courtney went to the residence, grabbed the Tide Pods, and came outside. When she came outside, Rebecca told her that she was going to wait at the residence for a friend to pick her up. They waited a couple of minutes and a black sedan with tinted windows pulled across the road from the residence. Rebecca proceeded across the road and got into the front passenger seat of the vehicle. Courtney did not know the specific make or model of the sedan or the number of occupants in the car. Yeah, keep it nice and vague, huh? She could not tell if the driver was male or female. She said that after this, she did not see Rebecca again. Courtney reported to Deputy Reed that she was contacted by Rebecca's fiancé, Richard Feller, regarding her location later that night. Courtney informed Rich that she didn't know where Rebecca was and that she had left with a friend. Courtney was contacted by Kimberly Park, the sister, so the bio mom contacted by the sister, the morning of November 4th of 2025 and was sent a screenshot of the location where Rebecca Park's phone was pinging at. Courtney told Deputy Reed that she proceeded down the road on West 26 Road where she found Rebecca's phone lying by the 2-track just off West 26 Road. This location is less than 200 yards from South 21.5 Road. Courtney checked the phone and thought Rebecca may have dropped it when she was using the restroom. Courtney reported that she took the phone to Richard Feller's residence on Tuesday, November 4th of 2025 and turned it over to him. What else did you turn over? The Sheriff's Office issued a press release on Tuesday, November 4th of 2025 identifying Rebecca Park as a missing person. She was also entered into the Law Enforcement Information Network as missing. On Wednesday, November 5th of 2025, Detective Lieutenant Piscor met with Kimberly Park when she arrived at the Wexford County Sheriff's Office. Park had suggested that she might know where Rebecca Park is when she arrived at the Sheriff's Office. When I asked her about this, she played me a voice message from Courtney Bartholomew that said that Aria Clark had called her and said that two people in a car had pulled up to the Revival Center looking for Narcan and said that the pregnant woman that's missing got what she effing deserved. Now, just letting you know, these are all lies. Okay. So just disregard. But we want to read what they said, what they told the police, but like, damn, these people can lie. Courtney stated that it was redacted Rouge that said something to Rusty Clark, Aria's father. She also added, I guess it was an older guy that your sister left with. When I asked Kimberly if she knows where she's at, she answers that the only older guy that Rebecca talks to is some guy called redacted Billet and calls him a pervert. Park believes that Billet drives a black sedan, adding, like Courtney said, Billet was contacted and did not appear to have any contact with Rebecca Park. So they've already thrown two people that they know with black cars under the bus. Like it's them, it must be them, right? During the interview with Kimberly, she showed Detective Lieutenant Piscor a Blueview brand Model 4 cell phone which says Rebecca Park's phone on the home screen. Kimberly reported that she has looked through the phone and observed that the last communications on the phone reported a missed video call from, and there's a Gmail address, redacted, to comply with YouTube's guidelines, one, and also just for people's privacy. Okay. But okay, this is Rebecca's email. On Friday, October 3rd at 8:43 p.m. Although it says, wait, through the phone, observed the last communications, reported a missed video call. Okay, so that's from someone else. On October 3rd. It's a while ago. The last text message was on Sunday, and the last phone call was to Courtney Bartholomew on Sunday, November 2nd at 21:14, so 9:14 p.m. Kimberly identified that Rebecca, wait. When did Kimberly get Rebecca's phone? Because last Courtney said she got it from Richard's house. So when did Richard give it to Kimberly? And what else did he give? My goodness. Kimberly identified that Rebecca uses her phone regularly and daily, and because she did not see any communications on Monday, November 3rd of 2025, she suspects that records of phone activity on the 3rd have been deleted. Kimberly reported that Rebecca is known to regularly delete communication records from her cell phone. Don't worry, the Celebrite guys will find out what was deleted and when. And if it was after Rebecca was last seen alive, yeah, you're all going to get a lot more evidence thrown at you.
Yeah.
Which is what I suspect is going to happen. Kimberly then played another voice message on her phone from Courtney Bartholomew, who can be heard explaining, okay, when Randy passed away, I was told that your sister had something to do with it. That would give Randy's family a murder revenge thing because she was involved when it came to Randy. On the message, Courtney suggested, so, Billet is connected to Randy's family, so I would definitely be looking at them. When I asked Kimberly if she trusted Courtney, she responded, not really. On Thursday, November 6th of 2025 at 13:55, Detective Lieutenant Piscor obtained a search warrant for the Blueview 4 cell phone that had been entered as property in the incident at item 54. The cellular device was submitted to the Michigan State Police Computer Crimes Unit on the same date at 15:16. On Saturday, November 8th of 2025, members of All County Search and Rescue and Christian Aid Ministries Search and Rescue with 36 personnel comprised of 5 teams searched the area where Rebecca Park was last seen and the area where her cell phone was recovered from. No additional evidence was identified. During this time, numerous tips and leads were coming in and were being actively investigated. However, none located Rebecca Park. Due to reported activity on Rebecca's social media platforms, pen register search warrants were obtained and served on her known social media accounts. However, no outgoing use was ever identified. On 11/15/2025, Candace, redacted, reported to Deputy Jacob Component that her sister, Courtney Bartholomew's, had texted her on October 28th that she had given birth to a son and was asking Candace for items for the baby. Through a series of text messages, Courtney
Now we
said
know
she
that's an
was
outright
birth.
lie.
At 28 weeks, the baby was in the NICU, the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, in Grand Rapids, and that she had named the baby Ashton Lee Bartholomew. Courtney told Candace, he's supposed to come home this coming week. As he's doing good, still he will. On Monday, November 3rd of 2025 at 14:52, Candace asked Courtney if she was able to bring the baby home, and Courtney told her, no, he did a backslide, but still hoping this week. On November 3rd of 2025 at 23:17, Courtney sent Candace a text that reads, my son passed away. So, in case you're not following, Courtney made up that Courtney, the bio mom of the victim Rebecca, the bio mom of Kimberly, okay, and the ex of Richard Feller, she said to her sister that she gave birth prematurely to a son. Okay. And then on November 3rd said, my son passed away. When was Rebecca last seen? November 3rd. When is it alleged that Courtney cut the baby out of Rebecca? November 3rd. So you see that? That's part of how they know, and we're going to get to more. The police say the baby is presumed deceased. There's going to be more details. But she's lying to her own sister there. Well, she lies to everyone, but okay. And throws anyone and everyone under the bus. On Tuesday, November 4th at 11:18, Candace asked if it was because he wasn't strong enough or if he had gotten sick. Courtney answered, I don't know what happened. I just know he wasn't getting air. And added, all I know is I watched my child die right in front of me. Well, that's true. Apparently, allegedly, according to the charges. Your daughter, Rebecca, and your grandson, because the allegation is that she was so obsessed with the grandson that she wanted the grandson for herself as her own child and cut the child out of Rebecca, her own daughter. Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, so Candace asked if she was there when it happened, and Courtney answered, yes, I was. On Tuesday, November 4th at 19:11, Courtney begins to discuss with Candace that Rebecca Park is missing. On Tuesday, November 11th of 2025, Preservation's request for tower dump or area search for the tower in the location of redacted between the hours of 1900 and 2200 on November 3rd of 2025 were submitted to T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon Wireless. Detective Piscor had contacted Courtney Bartholomew about another interview. Bartholomew was reluctant to come in, suggesting that Deputy Reed's interview with her had been thorough, but eventually agreed. On Tuesday, November 11th of 2025 at 13:49, Detective Lieutenant Piscor conducted a recorded interview with Courtney Bartholomew. Initially, some background on Courtney and her biological children raised by the Park family is established. Courtney then reports how Rebecca and Richard Feller were initially dating, and they broke up. A relationship between herself and Rich then commences. I think that timeline's true, but okay. I think it's the other way around. But okay, Courtney reports that she was planning to divorce Bradley. Wow, okay. Courtney then became pregnant and was unsure who the father might be, Bradley or Richard. Because of this, she stopped her divorce approximately 2 weeks before the court date for the divorce. Courtney reports that Rich showed up at her house with the intention of shooting Bradley Bartholomew. After Courtney rejected Rich, he resumed his relationship with Rebecca Park. Right, because you rejected him. Courtney also reported that Rich had returned to her residence and essayed her forcefully, causing her to have a miscarriage of the baby that she was carrying. A report of this incident was made with the sheriff's office. However, Courtney said that Rich was not charged. We'd like to see that report to verify, please. My word. Courtney identified that she was concerned for Rebecca, as she was aware of how abusive and aggressive Richard Feller could be, and has encouraged Rebecca to leave Rich. Now, I do think she might have encouraged them to leave each other because she wants to be with Rich. It sounds to
Y'all
me like she
mofos
wants
crazy.
this guy. Anyway, when Detective Lieutenant Piscor asked about things leading up to the weekend, Courtney reported on Kimberly and Rebecca coming over on Saturday, November 1st of 2025 to her residence, and then Courtney told Detective Lieutenant Piscor about giving envelopes to Kimberly and Rebecca. These envelopes or envelopes were later reported by both Kimberly and Rebecca to have been empty. Courtney said that she was going to give Rebecca cash and didn't want Kimberly to feel left out, so she wanted Kimberly to set up an account so she could put money in an account for her. There's no money. Courtney then reports having forgotten to give Rebecca some items for her baby while at the house, so she contacted Rebecca and then brought the items to her at Richard Fowler's house Saturday night. Courtney then told Detective Lieutenant Piscor that on Sunday, November 2nd of 2025, she was supposed to pick Rebecca up to have milkshakes at Dairy Queen and get Rebecca laundry soap. Okay, the story is changing slightly already. These plans fell through when Rebecca went to Cadillac Munson Hospital as she thought that she was in labor. Courtney reported that she and Bradley both visited Rebecca and Rich in the hospital that day. It's confirmed that Rebecca was not in labor, had only dilated to 1, and she was released from the hospital. Bartholomew drove Rebecca and Rich home from the hospital. Courtney said that when they arrived at Fellows, he was throwing their bags, and Rebecca had whispered to her that Rich had been acting like a real big ass, Mom. Courtney offered to take her home with her, and Rebecca requested that they just meet for milkshakes tomorrow, Monday, November 3rd of 2025, and talk. On Monday, November 3rd of 2025, Courtney said that she went to pick Rebecca up between 6:30 and 7 p.m. at Fellers. Courtney reports that as they ride, Rebecca said she was tired, which she confronted by telling her she looked stressed. She claimed that Rebecca was upset with Rich, identifying that he had been hounding her to obtain money to fix his truck. Courtney talked about how she encouraged Rebecca to leave Rich, but said Rebecca was afraid to leave him. Courtney said when they arrived at her house, she gave Rebecca an envelope with $2,000 cash in it, and they discussed Courtney throwing her a baby shower. She identified that Rebecca didn't want a baby shower because she was afraid that CPS was going to take the baby. Courtney said that while they were talking, Rebecca was texting on her phone and mentioned the possibility that she had 2 phones. Courtney said she went into the house to get laundry soap, and that when she came back out, she said, I noticed that she deleted something, but didn't know what it was or which phone it might have been on. Yeah, okay, dumbass, that was probably you. Courtney said that she told Rebecca that she would take her back home, but Rebecca told her to hold on. She had someone coming to get her. Courtney said she pulled out of her driveway and a car came up behind her. She identified that she didn't ask Rebecca. It was out of fear that she would push her away, but Rebecca had told her that she'd be back. Courtney said the car had dark tinted windows. There was no plate on the car, but she could tell that it was a Chevy. Remember that one friend that Courtney has that had a Chevy? Okay. When questioned, that social media was reporting the car had the taillights of an Impala, Courtney confirmed that she was the source of that information. Courtney talked about someone Rebecca knows who has a Chrysler 300, also having similar taillights. Bartholomew didn't follow the car. She again said it would upset Rebecca if she had. Courtney said that at about 2300, so 11 p.m., she reached out to Kimberly to get Rich's number. Right, like you didn't have Rich's number. At about 23:30, she said she tried to call Rich, so she sent him a text that Rebecca had left with someone. Courtney confirmed that Rebecca was texting while they were together. Her next contact with Rich was Tuesday, and she reported telling him that she had given Rebecca $2,000, which was a lie. Courtney then said that Kimberly sent her the GPS location to Rebecca's phone, which she said she put into her phone and it took her right to the phone. When I asked who went and got the phone, Courtney then identified we, who was identified as Bradley and herself. It is reported that Bradley found the phone and he then handed it to Courtney. Detective Lieutenant Piscor confronted Courtney of an image that she had sent to Rebecca of a check that was made out in her name for $18,000. She claimed that when her mother died, she was left money to do with what she pleased. Courtney confirmed that she sent an image of a check to Rebecca, but that she had not given the check to her. That's called luring her under false pretenses. That's why, it's part of the story, part of all the charges. Courtney denied that there was a similar check made out to Kimberly. The statement that Courtney had tried to have this meeting prior had fallen through because she didn't have things in place that she needed to. Courtney said it was simply getting kids together at one time was what wasn't falling into place.
Mm-hmm.
When Detective Lieutenant Biscoe confronts Courtney that the phone records for the phone that was found on the 2-track was not used to summon someone to pick her up, Courtney then identifies that there are possibly 2 other phones she uses. Oh, now there's like 3 phones. These phones are multiplying. Courtney brings up the names of other people that she thinks may be involved based on rumors. Specifically, that Mike Redacted and Ashley Redacted were supposed to help Rebecca get away from Valor. As Lieutenant Piscor discussed phone location records with Courtney, she confirms that she picked Rebecca up between 1830 and 1900 and came south on South 41.5 Road to Mackinac Trail and turned west onto East 30th 3/4 Road to continue to her residence on South 21.5 Road. Location data from Rebecca Park's phone supported this route of travel. Lieutenant Piscor confronted Courtney with the accusations that she killed Rebecca Park, and then she asked, why the F would I do that? Saying that she would never hurt her daughter. During the interview, Courtney Bartholomew said that she did not know where Rebecca Park was. When Courtney was asked if she had done anything to harm Rebecca Park, she again said she would not hurt her daughter. While discussing the pickup truck at her residence that was reported to never move, but had been moved recently, it never moves, just recently affected it. Okay, Courtney reported it doesn't have seats in it, but said that it was moved recently to make room to access the porch. Courtney said that Kimberly and Rebecca do not like Bradley Bartholomew. Yeah, okay, try to stay on track, Courtney, with the conversation. On Tuesday, November 11th of 2025 at 15:40, Lieutenant Piscor conducted a recorded interview with Bradley Bartholomew. He confirmed his cellular telephone number as redacted. When asked about Rebecca, Bradley reported that they don't get along. He explained that it's due to his criminal history, which also includes sexual offenses with minors. He described Rebecca and Courtney's relationship as rocky. Bradley said that he was not around Monday when Rebecca was at the house. He identified that he was at my place and described living in the woods near Harrietta and Fish Hatchery. As Detective Lieutenant Piscor was attempting to confirm his presence there, Bradley said he was alone and that his phone was with Courtney as her phone was about to be shut off. The truck at the house was discussed and identified as not having moved in years. Bradley said that he'd been driving the truck up until October 21st of 2025, when the license plate expired. When asked if the seats were out of the truck, Bradley confirmed that they had been. He explained a similar explanation, that they are cleaning the truck up for Courtney's son to drive when he turns 16. When Bradley was asked when he found out that Rebecca Park was missing, he identified it was Monday night or Tuesday morning. He again denied being at the residence. Bradley told Detective Lieutenant Piscor that on Tuesday, November 4th of 2025, Courtney Bartholomew was in town, and he was at the house with the teen son when Courtney texted him the location of where Rebecca's phone was. Bradley said that he refused to go out there alone because I'm not being accused of anything. Bradley said that when Courtney got home, they went out together to look for the phone based on a ping that Kimberly Park had sent to Courtney. Bradley confirmed that he was the person who found Rebecca Park's cell phone on the 2-track near South 21.5 Road, and he picked it up and handed it to Courtney. Bradley said that he didn't know how Rebecca's phone ended up on the trail,
back.
but suggested that she had walked that trail in the park. On November 24th, Monday,
This whole
Courtney
thing
Bartholomew
just
came to the
stinks,
sheriff's
bro.
office, and Detective Lieutenant Piscor began a recorded interview with her. There is a discussion about the TikTok live conversations because, these people have been jumping on the media and talking a lot. Social media and media interviews and all sorts. Okay, so I asked Courtney about a cellular device that a bounty hunter dropped off at the Clare City Police Department. She identified this phone was provided by Kimberly. During this meeting, I asked Courtney about Kimberly's personal property in her vehicle. She confirmed that she was in possession of items that belonged to Kimberly. However, she didn't want to leave the items with me to return to Kimberly. On Monday, November 24th of 2025, Bradley Bartholomew was interviewed by Detective Lieutenant Tim Helen at the Michigan State Police Crime Lab in Grayling. During his interview, Bradley reported that he's trying to protect Kimberly Park. He said that Kimberly took Rebecca down a 2-track behind the house and stated, "I believe she's dead." So now, Courtney and Brad are trying to pin this all on Kimberly? The 21-year-old? Damn. Bradley Bartholomew said to Detective Lieutenant Tim Helen that he was present during a dinner with Courtney Bartholomew, Rebecca Park, and Kimberly Park on Saturday, November 1st of 2025 at South 21.5 Road. During this time, Bradley said that Kimberly had a private conversation with him about asking about the 2 tracks behind the house, and that
Yeah, it's a
Kimberly
little
stated that
bit
she
cold,
needed to get
18,
Rebecca out
yeah.
of the picture. On Tuesday, November 25th of 2025 at 14:16, Wexford County Central Dispatch received a 911 call
Hey,
from Courtney
Teeman, yeah, it's a
Lederman
little cold.
from telephone number redacted, stating that she had found a body covered with leaves that looks gutted. The location of the body was approximately 2.5 miles in a straight line west of this 21.5 road in Antioch Township of Wexford County on Forest Service Road 9784. Wexford County Deputy Jacob Kaponen responded to the area, observed the remains, and reported the deceased female has a tattoo above the left eye. Kaponen reported that the abdomen area of the body appears to have been cut open. The tattoo located above the left eye is consistent with the Michigan driver's license images of Rebecca K. Park. Michigan State Police Trooper Cody Campbell was inside the residence at the South 21.5 Road on Tuesday, November 25th of 2025, securing the residence until the Michigan State Police Crime Lab personnel could search the home based on a search warrant that had been authorized on that date. While in the presence of Courtney Bartholomew and Bradley Bartholomew, Courtney and Bradley were discussing amongst themselves, loud enough for Trooper Campbell to hear. Courtney mentioned to Bradley that the seat cover from the Ford F-150 in the driveway had recently been burnt and disposed of due to something having been spilled on it or them. A search warrant was served on T-Mobile for Bradley Bartholomew's known cell phone number. The records that were produced pursuant to the search warrant show Bradley Bartholomew's device active in the area of South 21.5 Road on November 3rd of 2025. Further, these records show device movement and lingering in the areas consistent with where Bradley and Courtney reported recovering Rebecca Park's cell phone device and where her body was discovered on November 25th of 2025 on several occasions on Monday, November 3rd of 2025 in the evening hours. These records take place after the records obtained from Rebecca Park's phone and network demonstrate her arriving in the area of South 21.5 Road, November 3rd of 2025, shortly after 7 p.m. Cellbrite extraction location at the residence at 1916. Additionally, records from Rebecca Park's phone extraction show locations consistent with the reported location of recovery of the device. The search warrant was served on Verizon for Courtney Bartholomew's known telephone number. The records that were produced pursuant to the search warrant show Courtney Bartholomew in that area, and both Bradley and Courtney's records show them in communication with one another shortly after her arrival with Rebecca Park at South 21.5 Road. Additionally, Courtney Bartholomew's phone records have activity consistent with her interview statements that she traveled to pick up Rebecca Park at Richard Feller's residence at 41.5 Road and then transporting her to her house on South 21.5 Road. Bradley Bartholomew's call detail records show the following calls of investigative interest. 18-12-56, a 2-minute, 2-second outgoing call from Bradley to Courtney. 19-29-55, a 57-second call from Bradley to Courtney. 19-33-39, a 54-second call from Bradley to Courtney. At the time of the call, at 18:12, device network records show Brad and Courtney's devices near the area of South 21.5 Road. And this precedes the activity of Rebecca's device coming into the area of South 21.5 Road. The affiant is aware that the calls at 19:29 and 19:33 again show Brad and Courtney's devices in that area after Rebecca's device records show her arrival in the same area. An autopsy was conducted at Western Michigan University by Dr. Christine James and was attended by Deputy Alexis Howard. There were 6 sharp force wounds on Park's back, 2 to the right upper arm, 1 to the left trapezius area, 2 to the neck, and at least 2 to the face. The right side of the face also has a laceration and an irregular wound to the cheek of unknown etiology. The wounds to the neck are described as superficial and do not penetrate muscle or harm any vasculature. Most of the wounds to the torso are contained in soft tissue. 1 to the back enters the left pleural space, but misses the lung. 1 to the right side of the back enters the right pleural space and does penetrate the right upper, this is a lung lobe, I would assume lung lobe, and caused a large pneumothorax. All major vessels are intact. Rebecca Park's abdomen had incised wounds. The placenta was hanging from the open abdominal wound with attached umbilical cord, and the fetus was absent. The abdomen incision transcended the colon and the small bowel. Dr. James reported that Rebecca Park's stomach contained copious amounts of blue-green chalky residue. There was also a thin film of subdural blood over the left cerebral hemisphere, with focal subdural on the right parietal area. However, there was no subscapular.
So, let me see if I got that right. Basically, what I think she just described was a person who was strangled. I believe that's what she's describing, but don't quote me on that one.
Or subgaleal hemorrhage, nor skull fracture is noted. The OA joint had marked laxity, but a posterior
skull fracture means blunt force trauma.
neck dissection showed no soft tissue hemorrhage. On Sunday, November 30th of 2025, a second search warrant was obtained for Bradley and Courtney Bartholomew's residence at South 21.5 Road. Search warrants to seize the 2007 Ford Escape 4-door SUV, red in color with the VIN number redacted, and a temporary Michigan registration plate of redacted, registered to Courtney Bartholomew, and the 1992 Ford F-150 pickup truck, white in color, with a Michigan registration of, and have them towed to the Wexford County Sheriff's Office to be processed by Michigan State Police Lab technicians, were also obtained. The search warrants were served, and Bradley and Courtney Bartholomew were both taken into custody and transported to the Wexford County Sheriff's Office. On Sunday, November 30th of 2025, at 15:41, Detective Lieutenant Piscor and Detective Sergeant Hackman conducted a recorded interview with Bradley Bartholomew. Bradley was put on notice that Rebecca's death is a homicide, and that this is a homicide investigation, and that there can't be any more lies. Bradley was read his Miranda rights from a Wexford County Miranda warning card that he confirmed his understanding of the rights explained to him, and he agreed to speak with the detective at the time. Bradley reported his knowledge that Courtney went to get Rebecca, they came to the house to get Tide Pods, and they were supposed to go and get ice cream. Bradley said that he was at the house with, redacted, the son, right? He admitted that he lied during his first interview about being at the residence because of his SO registry status. Bradley is told that SOR violations are small in comparison to a homicide, and he says that at the time he didn't know this was a homicide. He reported that Courtney had backed out of the driveway in the Ford Escape, and then she came back. He says that at the time he had no idea where Rebecca was. He said that he knew that Courtney left with a white Ford and then came back. He reported that Courtney had told him that she and Rich Feller were in the white Ford, and they had a disagreement, and there was blood on the dash. Courtney asked Bradley to clean it up, which he reported that he went out and wiped it down. He said that he didn't see any blood on the floor or on the seats, just blood spattered on the dash. He described that later there was white paint on the seats, and Courtney asked him to remove the seat covers, which he confirmed he did. He said that he was unsure what she did with them, if they were thrown in the burn barrel or in the trash. Next, he said that Courtney was talking to him about how she and Rich did something horrible, but she wouldn't tell him. He claimed that once the story of Rebecca came about, of her being missing, he began to put two and two together. These people all just lie, all throw each other under the bus. You see that? Okay, so Bradley reported that Courtney threatened that if he said anything, she'd make his life hell. Bradley identified that Courtney had tried to stab him with scissors in the past and charged with assault, but the case was dismissed. Bradley clarified that Courtney had told him about the something bad happening 5 to 6 days after Rebecca was missing, but he claimed that he wasn't sure what bad thing had been done was. Okay. When asked about the story about the baby in the NICU at DeBoss, Bradley identified that she was supposedly adopting a baby, but he didn't see how she could due to his status as a SO. Bradley said that Courtney was alone when she got into the white Ford and left north on South 21.5 Road, and that she returned approximately 15 minutes later. He stated that he had sent a text to Courtney to see if she needed him to come outside for anything, and she responded in the affirmative. It was now that he said that Courtney reported getting into a fight with Rich. Bradley said that he never observed Rich on the state and that he did not observe any injury to Courtney. Returning to the something bad topic, Bradley was asked to continue that topic. He identified that Courtney is all over TikTok and that Kimberly was over to use Escape to deliver newspapers. He confirmed that Kimberly left personal items in the Escape and identified she did that all the time. Yeah. Bradley, I don't think that's what they were talking about when they said, hey, bro, there's something bad. Stick to that. Tell us more about that. He's like, all right, let me tell you some irrelevant things. Bradley's then confronted with records from carriers, specifically T-Mobile and Verizon. He was asked about Courtney's phone that she had previously said was no longer going to have service. Bradley identified that she had service restored, but was aware that she had conducted a factory reset on the phone. Okay. Maybe twice or what? A factory reset, hey? Yeah, that's not going to help you at all. He was notified that a factory reset does not prevent access to records that are maintained by the carrier. I said character, yeah, because these are a bunch of characters. By the carrier. Yes, that's right, Bradley. Oh, so you know that. Well, you know the factory reset's not going to help anybody in this situation. Bradley said that he had Courtney's phone on Monday, November 3rd of 2025. It is pointed out that there are phone calls between both the phone he uses and the one that Courtney uses while Rebecca's at the house. He passes these as simple calls, checking on her comings and goings. He reports that he hasn't driven the truck since he parked it, and that it only had enough gas to get to the gas station. Detective Lieutenant Piskel confronted Bradley's statement about the blood in the truck, confirming his knowledge that the truck has been seized, identifying if there's any blood of Rebecca found in the truck, and then there will be a big problem. Bradley's confronted if he thought about Courtney had been lying to him about what went on, and he says he does. He suggests that he can't see Courtney and Rich being together like that, as they haven't talked in over 2 years. Bradley confirmed that there are no $18,000 checks. He did not know why Courtney sent images of the checks. He did say that he spoke with Kimberly on Saturday, November 1st of 2025, after their dinner that night had ended. He said that she was asking about the 2 tracks behind the house. He denied that Kimberly told him that she needed to get Rebecca out of the picture. He identified that Kimberly had said this to redacted Fisher, who he identified as Courtney's cousin. Detective Sergeant Hackman confronted that this is not what Fisher told him when he interviewed him personally. Bradley reported that Kimberly is jealous of Rebecca and that he's aware that Kimberly has had a relationship with Rich in the past. Bradley reported being upset when Kimberly was on the internet saying that he and Courtney were responsible, making a statement that he doesn't understand how anyone could do that to a pregnant woman. He answered that he believes that Courtney and Rich would be capable of doing something such as this. When asked for what purpose, he gave different possibilities. Bradley agreed that he believes that Courtney is capable of slicing open her own flesh and blood and taking a baby out. He agreed that Courtney is obsessed with wanting another baby in her care and custody. He also agreed that it was a good possibility that she could attack Rebecca and cut a baby out of her. Detective Lieutenant Piskel asked if he remembered the Sunday that Rebecca was in the hospital. Courtney saying or texting, "Don't you dare have this baby in the hospital." Oh, damn. And Bradley remembers somebody saying it, but not who was saying it. Bradley confirmed going to Feller's house on Saturday to take the gifts to Rebecca that Courtney forgot to give her at the house earlier that day. While discussing being upset that Kimberly had accused him of being involved, Detective Lieutenant Piscor asked why he hadn't called him, and Bradley said that Courtney had threatened him that she didn't want him involved. His explanation was that she doesn't want to get incriminated or himself incriminated. Yeah, well, you're doing it very well. Bradley began to say that he thinks that Courtney has more to do with it than she wants to claim. He said that all the evidence is pointing to her. He suggested he believes all the evidence would be in the white Ford. The blood that he observed inside the truck is discussed and described. Bradley said that he removed the original seat covering about a week and a half after Rebecca went missing because it had got white paint on it. When asked what he thought happened, Bradley responded that he thought that Courtney was jealous of her own daughter, Rebecca. He agrees that Courtney would like to have another child. He also thinks that Rich wants to get back into a relationship with Courtney. Bradley agrees that he thinks that Courtney could point the finger at him as being responsible when we interview him. When Bradley's confronted with Courtney being in possession of the cellular device when she went to pick up Rebecca, he claims that he can't say that she possessed it, but it was there at the house and he had it to call her. He then confirms that Courtney did not have that phone when she went to Feller's to pick up Rebecca. He reported that she got that phone when she came back from getting the white Ford. Detective Lieutenant Piscor asked Bradley what else he wanted us to know about, and he told us that Courtney had scalpels in her bedside stand, describing them as disposable scalpels for lancing cellulitis. Bradley doesn't remember going anywhere on the morning of Tuesday, November 4th of 2025, other than to Feller's to give him Rebecca's phone. Okay, so now he's saying he went there too. Yeah. Bradley confirmed that he had come to the hospital on Sunday, November 2nd of 2025 to bring Courtney her wheelchair, and that he was driving the white Ford pickup truck while Courtney was there with the Ford Escape. He did not ride back to Manton with Courtney when she drove Rebecca and Richard home. Bradley begins to show some emotion by the possible outcome of this investigation. Bradley's given a break at this point of the interview. On Sunday, November 30th of 2025 at 17:14, Lieutenant Piscor and Sergeant Voss conducted a recorded interview with Courtney Bartholomew. I really like how they've written this. It's chronological, but it's like Courtney, Bradley, Courtney, Bradley, Courtney, yeah, and we compare those stories. Okay, so it says, Courtney was read her Miranda rights from a Wexford County Miranda warning card that she confirmed her understanding of the rights explained to her, and she agreed to speak with the detective at the time. Courtney identified that at the dinner at her house on Saturday, November 1st of 2025, it was herself, Rebecca, Kimberly, Redacted, and that Redacted was hiding in the truck. I think it's the 16-year-old boy. Yeah, so Lieutenant Piscor notified that this was a homicide investigation and that the lies must stop, and if she lies, more charges can be brought. Courtney reported that Redacted is hiding in the truck because the girls won't come in if he's around because they don't like him. She reported that the dinner ended around 1900 to 1930. The next thing that happened was she called Rebecca about the items that she forgot to get her, and that she and Bradley went to Feller's to drop the items off. At the time, they were in the Ford Escape. On Sunday, November 2nd, 2025, she was supposed to pick Rebecca up and waited until around 18:30, and Rebecca called to say that she was on her way to the hospital. She described the events at the hospital as she had previously. Bradley brought Courtney her wheelchair to the hospital. Bradley was driving the white Ford F-150, and she explained how he stopped at the Mayer gas station, or Meyer, to get gas for the truck while she drove Rebecca and Richard home. Courtney wanted to know if Bradley could hear her, and she was told he could not. She reported talking to Rebecca Sunday night about getting shakes on Monday. She said that Rebecca asked her about the $2,000 and said that Rich was upset about something. Courtney confirmed the trip to Feller's house on Saturday after the dinner to drop the items off for Rebecca. When Detective Lieutenant Piscor asked Courtney why she wanted to know if Bradley could hear her, she suggested the need to back up, saying she thinks she needs immunity. Detective Lieutenant Piscor notified Courtney
I'm gonna go ahead and skip on into this. Um, skip on a little bit to this.
So all a lot of lies, slowly but surely getting to little bits of truth as they continue to throw each other under the bus. Okay. So Courtney said that on Wednesday, November 26th of 2025 in the morning, she confronted Bradley and asked him what he did. She reported that he told her, "I'm going to tell you once, and I'm going to tell you, and you're going to effing drop it, and you're going to shut the F up." He's like, "I'm the reason your effing daughter's not here, and your life is upside down now." When she asked him why, she said that Bradley said, "Rich effed with the wrong mother effer." She agrees this is all a revenge plot. Yeah, in her own mind. Yes, these guys are fighting over you, Courtney. Courtney said that when she asked him what he did to her daughter, Bradley said, "I slit her effing throat. The bitch deserved it." She goes on to say that he said that Rich deserved it too, and it just happened to be your daughter that's going to pay for it. Courtney said when she asked about her grandson, she said,
I don't mean to be rude, but these meth heads ain't worth the shit out of their own asshole. Yeah, yeah, Cree Cree. You heard right. Yeah, these meth heads ain't worth a damn.
Bradley said, "Oh, I stuck him in a cooler, stuck him in a trash bag, threw him in the trash." Detective Lieutenant Piskel asked Courtney that if Bradley is paying Rich back, why cut the baby out? And she said, "Because if he would have left the baby in there and had somebody found her before, he would have survived, he would have thought." Courtney was asked why not just cut the baby out and kill it, why take it? And she said that he told her the baby wasn't breathing when he pulled him out. Again, she was asked why he'd take it. Now she answered it was because he didn't want Rich to see that they were together. She admitted she didn't know what that meant. She can't even follow her own story, as horrifying as all these stories are. When asked about where the baby is now, Courtney said that he put him in a blue cooler, in a trash bag, and into a GFL container. She confirmed that she's talking about a residential GFL trash receptacle. Courtney said that she was never at the location where the body was found because he wouldn't let her. She doesn't know how many times he went to the location. When asked if she was killed at the location she was found or at the end of her driveway, she answers that she doesn't know, but said that it wasn't in her driveway because he pulled away quickly with her. Okay, well, that rules out where it wasn't, and now we know where it was. Okay. Courtney said that he walked out of his truck and not the house to get her out of the truck, confirming that it was from the Escape and into the F-150. When Lieutenant Piskel reminded Courtney that she knew where the knife was at, she said that he threw it in a dumpster at Cadillac Shores. When asked when he had done that, she first announced that it was her hunting knife. She said it was probably like a week after that the knife was put in the dumpster. She did not know what happened to the disposable scalpel, adding that she had no clue and wished she knew. Detective Sergeant Voss asked Courtney what she was looking for in an immunity agreement, what she was afraid of, and then confronted her that she had provided a lot of misinformation to the police. Yeah, like, lady, you are talking so much BS we don't even know anymore, so what do you want? She reassured us that she would cooperate the whole way. Lieutenant Piskel pointed out her obstruction of the investigation, and she agrees. When asked about the seat covers, Courtney said that Bradley burned them. She also said that Bradley went out to clean the truck, specifically mentioning the dash. She described that the cloth was burnt, the bucket was taken back into the house. Courtney didn't think the floor in the truck was cleaned. Courtney was asked about the Kimmy stuff, her other daughter. And she suggested that Kimberly doesn't know anything, she was just trying to feel important. Right. I don't think this is the way anyone wants to feel important. Detective Sergeant Ross confronted Courtney that she was the person who told us recently that Kimberly was in the black car. She reported that Bradley came up with a story about Kimberly. Courtney said that she knew that Kimberly told us that she hit Courtney, that she hit, so basically that Courtney hit her and hit her body. When asked how she knows that Kimberly told us this, Courtney said that she told Ashley and reported Ashley is Richard's baby mama. Ashley has a child with Richard Fowler. Oh my words, and now there's another woman in this whole picture called Ashley who's impregnated also by Richard Fowler. Courtney said that all that Kimberly did was lie to the police and had no involvement. She also said that Rich Fowler was also not involved.
I'm gonna skip on to what happened to the baby and what happened to the mother.
And Foss asked about the baby getting cut out, being put in a garbage bag and put into a blue cooler, and what he said about that. She said that he just said he took him, put him in the garbage bag, and threw him in a trash dumpster. She knows that it was that specific cooler because his worker cooler is gone. She shows the size as a lunchbox size cooler and described it as a soft-sided cooler with hard plastic inside to keep the side supported, and it has black strap. Courtney reported the garbage bags came from her house, and she knows this because she counts the garbage bags, and she noticed that 2 of her garbage bags are gone. The hunting knife is described by Courtney as being green, having serrated blade on one side and a flat blade on the other side. It is a fixed blade, not a folding knife. She's sure that Bradley used that knife. The knife was purchased at Walmart. There it is. There's a Walmart in this case. Within the last year, and she provided a description of it. When asked if she noted any items missing out of Kimberly's purse, she didn't report any. Courtney denied that Redacted knows anything. We took a break and moved Courtney to another room. On Sunday, November 30th of 2025 at 18:27, Detective Sergeant Foss and I began a second recorded interview with Bradley Bartholomew. We reminded Bradley that the rights we discussed earlier still applied, and he agreed that he was still good with it. Detective Lieutenant Piscor notified Bradley that Courtney was putting it all on him. He broke down details that Courtney had provided. Detective Lieutenant Piscor explains how the investigation has come down to involving himself and Courtney. Sergeant Boss explains how we believe it went down and how evidence will support the investigation. An appeal to Bradley was made that he needed to tell the truth. Bradley's confronted with how much gas he put in the truck when he was at Meyer on Sunday after leaving the hospital, and he reported 5
Damn, my
hours.
damn neck killed
When
me.
asked about information that he feels we should know that we haven't already discussed, Bradley reports that he knows his lunch cooler is missing and describes it as being blue and thinks it's an Oregon Trail brand. He said it's big enough to hold an 8-pack of pop bottles. His description of the cooler is basically the same as Courtney's. He estimates the cooler has been missing for 2.5 weeks. Bradley's not aware of Courtney counting the garbage bags because Redacted's use of them. We confront Bradley that she's blaming him for dumping the body and putting the fetus in his lunchbox. It is explained that she is attempting to place the blame on him. Bradley is confronted with a statement he made in his first interview that Rebecca was stabbed. Detective Sergeant Boss asks him about that statement again and how he knows she was stabbed. Lieutenant Piscor pointed out that both he and Courtney have reported on the scalpel and that you don't need to make a stabbing motion with the scalpel to slice someone open. It's pointed out that Courtney said he's threatening her, including in the parking lot prior to them leaving for the interviews on Monday. It's also shared with them that she identified that it was revenge for Fowler turning him in last year on his SOR violation, to which he responded, "That's bullshit." It's explained that what Courtney has said about why the baby was cut out of Rebecca during a revenge murder doesn't make sense. We remind him of the NICU story and her attempts to get custody of Kimberly and Rebecca's children. Damn. Bradley begins to tell us, "I'm sure Courtney stabbed her because she did have a hunting knife." He reported the case for the knife, went into the trash bin, and thinks it might still be in the bin. He identified that the knife went into the trash at Cadillac Shores. He reports that Courtney is the one who cut the baby out of Rebecca. He confirms that he witnessed this and it had taken place right where she's laying out of the trails behind the house. He confirms that this is the reason that he told an officer to check the trails behind the house. Wow, such a good guy, hey? He reported that he knew Rebecca had a bunch of leaves on her because Courtney buried her in leaves where she was found. Bradley confirmed that a scalpel from the bedroom was used. When he was asked if the baby was alive when he was cut out, he responded no. He confirmed that it was just the two of them that were present. When Sergeant Voss asked when she stabbed her, where did she stab her, Bradley said, in the truck. When asked what location on Rebecca's body had Courtney stabbed her, he responded he didn't know as he jumped out of the truck. Bradley reported that Rebecca had gotten into the white truck voluntarily. He confirms that the plan to get the Tide Pods was legitimate, and he was unaware that the plan was to stab her. Bradley denied that there was any plan for this. While in the pickup, Bradley said he was driving, Courtney was in the passenger seat, and Rebecca was in the middle. He claimed not to know what Courtney had told Rebecca to get her into the truck. Initially, Bradley was in the house with Redacted, and he said that he went outside to get away from everything, so he didn't have to worry about Rebecca coming in. He denied getting a phone call from Courtney that they were in the driveway. When he got outside, Courtney and Rebecca were in the Escape, but Courtney had said that she blew out a tire on the Escape, so they got in the truck. From here, they get on the truck. The truck doesn't have a valid plate. Yeah, that story makes no sense, but okay. Bradley
It
said
don't.
that Courtney was mad because Rebecca was always bad-mouthing her and wouldn't give her a chance to be a mom. Bradley confirmed that Courtney wanted the baby for herself. Despite Courtney wanting the baby, Bradley said it was unrealistic to expect that Courtney would be allowed to adopt the baby. Bradley described that the actual stabbing began when Courtney just grabbed the knife and started stabbing at her. The
Dang.
knife had been down on Courtney's right. He said she stabbed her in the chest as far as he knew, but said that he jumped out of the truck when Courtney started swinging, so he wasn't sure. Bradley knew that they were on the trails and said that he could take officers to the scene. Sergeant Voss asked at what point did they realize that Rebecca's dead, and he identified that it was after Courtney cut the baby out of her. He
Dang.
said that Courtney tried CPR on the baby. Bradley said that Rebecca was not in the truck.
Wait a minute,
when
wait a
Courtney
minute,
cut the
wait a
baby out of her.
minute. Wait a minute, wait a minute. You cut the baby out of your adult daughter. You perform CPR on your grandchild, but not on your daughter. Since you're the one that stabbed the HE-double-L out of your daughter and left her for dead. Wicked ass woman. Oh crap, hold on.
Okay. He said that Courtney tricked her to get her out of the truck and made her start walking after she had already been stabbed. Rebecca walked behind the truck, but is unable to run due to her pregnancy. When Sergeant Voss asked what Courtney did to kill Rebecca, he explained that Courtney had Rebecca lay down as she was still alive and she cut the baby out of her. Bradley said he was beside the trail
Dang.
telling Courtney that she doesn't need to do that, and that's not right. They do not have the bag or the cooler that the baby is eventually put in at this time. Now, the baby's cut out. Bradley said they just left Rebecca there.
Dang.
That's horrifying. He identified that he couldn't tell if she was dead or not. Courtney decided that they should head to the house, and Courtney is holding the baby on her lap as Bradley drives. Bradley said the baby never took a breath, and he never heard the baby cry. It took about 5 minutes to get back to the house. Bradley stated that Courtney took the baby into the house and into her bedroom where she's trying to perform.
Concern for the baby. No concern for her own flesh and blood. It's a cold, 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 cold world.
CPR on the baby, which is on a towel on the bed. He also said he tried to perform CPR on the baby by doing chest compression and breathing into his mouth. He said this went on for about 15 minutes after they arrived home. Bradley reported that Courtney went to the kitchen, got a garbage bag, and placed the baby in a garbage bag and went outside with the baby. Yeah. When you thought
Was
the
he
story
saying
could be worse-
18? Huh? I see two thumbs up. I don't know. YouTube been acting weird lately. YouTube been acting weird as hell lately. I don't know. Get back on camera.
Does. He identified that the cooler was in the bed of the white truck and he saw the baby go into the cooler. He explained that the baby went into the cooler because the cooler can be zipped up and it had the baby in it. And disposed of the cooler and had not been seen. Bradley said the same night he's with Courtney, he was now driving the truck and they were disposing of the knife first and they put the baby in a GFL tote at a house north of their residence where there'd been some logging done recently. Bradley denied burning the seat covers from the truck and said Courtney burnt them. He did say that he cleaned the inside of the truck using a grey bucket with some bleach and water. He denied cleaning the floor and believes there will be blood on the floor of the truck. Bradley denied placing the phone on the 2-track, but again said that he found the phone on the 2-track. He did agree that he had the 550 phone on his person on Monday, November 3rd of 2025. Sergeant Foss confronts Bradley. Courtney told him to do this. We want him to take it now. He denies that he stabbed her. When Lieutenant Piscor asked Bradley about the card found with Rebecca, he said he didn't know anything about it and couldn't recall what it was, but knew it was on social media. He did not see a card when he left the area. He also did not see another weapon or tools when he was at the scene or anything else. Bradley doesn't know if anyone has been to the scene where Rebecca's body was since she was killed, and he denied that he had been back to the scene. When Bradley was asked about Rebecca not having shoes on, he appeared surprised by that. Bradley gives a description of where Rebecca's body was in relation to the trail and where things occurred. He denied that Courtney had asked him to position the truck so the truck lights would assist. He said the truck, he said the light shining around the side of the front of the truck was enough illumination for Courtney to cut the baby out. When he left, the body was still on the same hill. Courtney covered Rebecca with leaves, but denied that branches were placed on her. At the time, the baby was on a towel next to Courtney. Questioning the presence of a towel, Bradley's asked if he thinks that Courtney planned this, and he said, I have a feeling she did, but never told him of the plan. Bradley did not see Courtney place a towel or the hunting knife in the truck. Using a Wexford County map, Bradley showed the route of travel that he took and approximately where they were. He agreed that he could take officers out and show them where things had taken place on Monday, November 3rd of 2025. While discussing if there was blood on any of the clothing, he or Courtney had changed into a nightgown. Previously, he had said that they had gone out and disposed of the baby and the knife that night. Now, asking about this, Bradley said the baby stayed in the cooler that night on the back porch. Then, he now reported it was Wednesday, November 5th of 2025 when the items were placed in dumpsters, specifically because Thursday is garbage day. He said that it was Courtney who placed the cooler with the baby in it, in the garbage tote. They were in the escape when they discarded the knife and the baby. Bradley said one of the things that he believes Courtney said after she couldn't revive the baby was, the bitch killed my baby. And you know what?
Really?
I think this unhinged mother.
Really? Out of all things you're gonna say, quote unquote, the bitch killed my baby? No. That ain't what happened here. You killed your baby and your grandbaby. You evil piece of shit. Fuck you.
Monster probably blamed all of this on the daughter that she's accused of killing. Yeah. So he's like, wow, Courtney said that the bitch killed my baby. Bradley reported that he watched Courtney and the knife was placed in the glove box of the Ford Escape, and he believes that there will likely be blood located in the glove box. On Sunday, November 30th of 2050, Sergeant Boss and I began a second recorded interview with Courtney Bartholomew. Feels like 20 interviews already, right? As she enters the interview room, Courtney reports she's ready to go home. Oh, you're ready to go home, huh? When it's pointed out that she is saying it's all Bradley, when asked what she thinks Bradley's been saying, she reported that he's probably saying it's both of them. And we confirm her statement and say that we know that they are both present. Courtney denies that she wanted the baby for herself. She admitted that Bradley brought the baby to the house and told her that the baby was not breathing. Courtney said that she told him to call 911, but Bradley said they weren't doing that. She denied getting involved and said it was because she has a teenage son and can't put herself in a position like that. Courtney reported that the day the drones were flying around, the baby was in the metal shed out in the back. Courtney said that she knew that Bradley was trying to pin this on her because he had told her, "Bitch, I'll take you down with me." Courtney told us that Redacted can prove that she was home on the 3rd. Courtney's confronted with her explanation that Rebecca willingly got into the truck and murdered her and cut the fetus out. When confronted with cell phone data and location data records, Courtney announces that Bradley had taken her phone, so she couldn't call the police. Courtney's confronted with her version of events being difficult to believe. Eventually, Courtney said that she's going to tell us what happened. Brad took her. He brought the baby back. I tried. I didn't. I couldn't. I tried. I tried to save my grandson and began to cry. Sergeant Foss asked how Bradley took Rebecca. Courtney said that he pulled her out of the car and she got into the truck. Courtney admits that she told Rebecca that she was going to come with her. She places herself in the truck on the passenger side. Rebecca's in the middle and Bradley's driving. So sometimes they still match. Bradley has the knife, according to her. And according to Bradley, she has the knife. From the house, they drove some way to where Bradley ended up stabbing Rebecca. She claimed not to know Rebecca was going to die that night. Courtney places Bradley across South 21.5 Road from their house as she is arriving with Rebecca. Courtney admits that she knows something's going to go down because Bradley is on foot across the road waiting for them to arrive. She reported that Bradley approached the vehicle by just walking up on her side, grabbed Rebecca by the arm, and got her out of the escape, and she willingly gets into the pickup to go for a ride after he told Rebecca, "Your mom's going with us." From the house, they drive to where Rebecca gets stabbed. Courtney said that Bradley told Rebecca to get out of the truck while Courtney stayed inside. So they both say that little story. Okay, he's like, she got out, and then she's like, he got out. Okay, Rebecca's taken to the rear of the truck where Bradley stabbed her. At first, she said that she assumed that he stabbed Rebecca because he came back with a knife all bloody. When Detective Sergeant Foss asked Courtney at what point did she cut the baby out of Rebecca, she answered, "I didn't, he did, and he handed him to me." Courtney also said the baby wasn't breathing and she didn't hear him cry. Courtney claimed to have never gotten out of the truck because she didn't have her crutches or wheelchair. She again claimed that this was a revenge plot because she had a sexual relationship with Rich and because Rich got Bradley put in jail. She claimed that Bradley wanted to hurt Rich. No, I do believe it could have been a revenge plot and that she just wanted the baby, but I think it's her. I think she's projecting, you know what I mean? When confronted with the report that she stabbed Rebecca while driving down the road, Courtney denied it. When asked how all the blood got in the truck, she answered that it was from the knife, and then suggested that Rebecca got back in the truck. Whoa. Eventually, Courtney admitted that she cut the baby out of Rebecca in an attempt to save him, so that she could take him to Rich. Oh, yeah, right. Does anyone here believe a word that Courtney says?
Hell no.
Let me know in the comments below. When she cut the baby out, Courtney said that Rebecca was still conscious and Bradley was holding the knife to her throat. She told Rebecca to lay back. Your baby's gonna die. Courtney denied that Rebecca had been stabbed while in the truck. Revisiting the driveway, Sergeant Foss asked if Bradley held the knife to her throat to get her into the truck, and Courtney nodded her head in the affirmative. While in the truck, Bradley put the knife down by his left side. During the ride, Sergeant Foss asked what he said to Rebecca, and Courtney said she told her everything's gonna be okay. Courtney said that she promised that Bradley wasn't gonna hurt her. Yeah, because she was. When they get to the area where this happens, Bradley pulled Rebecca out of the truck and he spun her around and stabbed her in the back 4 or 5 times, according to Courtney. Bradley brings Rebecca to her side of the truck and he's sitting next to the door, and Bradley ordered Rebecca to lay back. Courtney said she told Rebecca that if she doesn't lay back, her baby's gonna die. Courtney looked in the truck and saw the scalpel, So she hurried up and did it, but her grandson wasn't breathing. Courtney said that she started her incision along her belly, and Bradley told her to cut downward. It would be easier. Courtney reported that Rebecca is still talking at this time, telling her to hurry up and asking if he's out. That probably happened. Maybe Rebecca knew her life was clearly in major danger, and that she's asking these monsters, just please save my child.
This shit here
Rebecca,
crazy.
He was about out, and that Rebecca told her to save him. When she got the baby out, Courtney said that she had dental floss from the dash that she had put in her pocket because she knew that she'd have to tie off the umbilical cord. She reported tying off the umbilical cord the best that she could. Once the baby was out, she said that Bradley slit Rebecca's throat with a knife. And that's a horrifying story, but I think they just left her there to die after cutting the baby out. Next, she said that Bradley used a cord from the snowplow on the truck to hook her body to the truck, and he pulled Rebecca down the bank, maybe 20 feet, pulling her back and off the road. She said he then covered her with leaves. Courtney said the towel was in the truck already, but she didn't know how the scalpel got into the truck. Courtney talked about how she would have come to the sheriff's office if she had been able to get the baby to Rich to report what happened. Discussing this, she claims that since this happened, she hasn't been able to get away from Bradley. When reminded that on Monday she was in Mount Pleasant and he was in Grayling, she could have said something then. Courtney confirmed that after she was stabbed, Rebecca never got back in the truck. She was asked about how the blood got in the truck, and Courtney reported it was from the umbilical cord, making blood fly all over. Courtney said that she never stabbed Rebecca. She was only responsible for trying to save her grandson.
Liar. 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 Liar.
Courtney said she couldn't. When asked how many times she talked to Bradley on the ride to her house from Rich's, she reported it was only once. She identified that she had the 49 phone and that the
She
call
be
had
on
lasted about
wicked.
10 minutes. When Detective Lieutenant Piscal confronted Courtney with the 2 incisions that she admitted to having made to remove the baby, he asked her if she thinks Rebecca would have survived those wounds, and she said, no, probably not. Courtney admitted that about 1 to 2 months prior to this having happened, Bradley researched the procedure for getting a baby out. Oh, I think Courtney consulted with Uncle Google a little bit there, and Walmart, clearly. Courtney said that Bradley put the items in the dumpster, but she was present in the Ford escape for both. Courtney is asked whose idea it was to leave items at the crime scene, and she said it was Brad's. She then identified that the items were Kimberly's debit card and a razor knife. Like, this monster would literally, and her husband, I don't know which one, just Courtney sounds the worst, but like, you're gonna put your other daughter's debit card there and a razor knife? You're gonna try to frame your other daughter after killing your one daughter, allegedly? Wow. Courtney
Piece
reported
of
that these
damn work.
items were placed after Kimberly went on social media saying that Courtney and Bradley were responsible for the purpose of framing Kimberly. Okay, yeah, LWAP for you. When pressed on the debit card, Courtney said it belonged to Redacted and not Kimberly, and the card came from Kimberly's backpack. She said that he used one of the plastic bags from her backpack to keep from getting his fingerprints on it. Wow. So smart. These items were suspected to have been placed by Bradley the day before Rebecca's body was recovered. She said that he left with the escape that day for about 20 minutes. Lieutenant Piscal asked Courtney to provide some information that isn't already known that can verify her statements, and she reported Brad said it was his in reference to Rebecca's baby. Now, when it is questioned that they don't like each other, Courtney said, yes, they do. Revisiting the conversation she had with Bradley about a month prior about C-section, she reported that he looked it up on his phone. When asked why they were having that discussion, Courtney answered, because that's what he said was going to happen. She said that he told her he was going to cut the baby out of Rebecca right in front of Rich. Courtney said that she brushed it off. when Lieutenant Pesco commented on Courtney's story about having delivered a
Weird
premature
ass
baby
people.
that was down in the NICU, she denied it and suggested it was a friend's baby that she was thinking about giving up. Right, and she's being confronted with the obviousness that there was a plan for this to happen. Courtney said that Bradley had told her to pull straight in, but she didn't. She turned the corner in her driveway instead. Questioning why he told her to pull in straight, Courtney reveals that Bradley had told her if he was going to do anything, it would be right there. When he does grab Rebecca, Courtney tries to get him to stop, but she said that he had a knife to Rebecca's throat, and he ordered everyone to get in the white truck. While in the truck, Rebecca slid over to Courtney, asking what was going on, and she said that she reassured her that Bradley just wanted to talk. Courtney described Rebecca was
Lies.
calm after just having a knife held to her throat to get in the truck. And that's the end of that horrifying document. So, looking forward to read your comments about this. What do you think about this? I mean, I think this is absolutely a horrifying fetal abduction case involving a biological mother, a stepfather.
Crazy.
The victim, Rebecca Park, only 22. I don't know if this guy is going to face more charges, Richard Fallow, right? And my goodness, a lot of kids affected too, a lot of people. So I will do my best to keep you posted on what happens next. I think the next time that they're in court, from what we discussed last time, was sometime there's a probable cause hearing set for December 16th of 2025. So that's coming up. Well, let's see what happens after that. But now we have probable cause affidavits, and that's already frightening. So, thank you so much for listening to me read that document to you. I really appreciate it, and yeah, I hope that you can go for a nice walk, spend some time in the sun, get some rest, whatever it is, because damn, these cases are dark, huh? I hope that there will be justice for Rebecca and for her baby, and I will see you in the next one. Stay safe.
And to basically say the same thing that this lady just said, be safe. And again, this here was Grizzly True Crime. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see y'all later. Peace.